Hello and welcome to the Mad Dog, the MD-11 here, Lufthansa Cargo. Very iconic aircraft with, of course, the third engine there. And we've got a flight scheduled to depart in less than half an hour, so we best crack on with it. I hope you join us with it. Real time, real weather. It's Chicago. We're flying down south to an airport identified as Kilo Bravo November Alpha. What makes this particularly interesting, aside from this beautiful aircraft that's updated, and I had a little go with it yesterday since updating, I thought, wow, this is loads better than it was. And another one, right? And the weather on this flight is there's apparently a lot of storms en route, so it'll be a good excuse to check the weather radar out and see if we can find the storms, and if need be, dodge them. I've got 3 alternates set, and so without any further ado, let's go ahead and jump on inside the cockpit for a cold and dark start. So those unfamiliar with the cockpit, let's just move around here. This is what it looks like. There is what was the flight engineer's station, but as you can see, it's leaves a little to be desired. He gets to control the circuit breakers. He's got a desk, or I should say she as well, a first aid kit, and some aircraft logs there. I think it's more just a way for a third crew member. It's, of course, the cargo aircraft. So there, if we come back here, see there the cargo netting. Here is the door. There is space for, and yeah, 2 extra crew members back here that you may wish to interchange with as well. Whoops, if I can control the mouse right. As well as the galley here. Not the greatest resolution ever, but we'll come outside. I can see the turbine blowing in the wind there. That, of course, is a big part of realism. Yeah, so Chicago Midway. And we'll get loading on board. I've got a full flight plan there. Lufthansa Cargo it is. What's Lufthansa doing operating between a couple of US bases, you ask? I don't know. Nashville International's where we're going. So first thing is, there's no side tablet on this aircraft. I do like my side tablets. There isn't one on this particular aircraft. Oh, I do like that you can open your window. And that is very noisy now with that window open. But that's okay. We're going to rock with the window open. It is, after all, summer. And let's make a start. Just before I do, I'm going to come to my aircraft menu here, and I need to request ground power units. So I'm going to press request, close that. It's pretty typical for most aircraft. They've got some way of asking for ground power, and now we see external power available. Again, I've said before, this is like 3/4 Airbus, 1/4 Boeing. At least that's what it feels to me. And so let's hit it.
Altitude.
Battery on, close the cover, and standby power into arm. And so that's all on. I'll just turn that down a tad. And once we get the aircon on, I'll shut the window. But until then, let's get systems 1, 2, 3, and that will start the self-check. And that sounds good. Alright, ground power is on. Air systems are booting up. Nav systems are booting up. Let's clear out the MC. Let's stabilize the standby artificial horizon and make a go for it. Yeah, so I've flown this aircraft before on the channel, and I flew into a thunder. I think the last time I flew it, I went straight into a thunderstorm deliberately, and it took me out. Like, as you'd expect, but the fact that it did. So on this particular flight, if we see a thunderstorm, like in real life, we're going to avoid it. The external sound is very loud, so I'm just going to tone it down just a tad. Outside air temperature then, a very pleasant 21 degrees this morning at Chicago. As I film this, it is, well, you see it there, 11:36 Zulu. I guess I should have figured out what time that is in Chicago. So I'm just going to very quickly Google that. And it's currently just after 6:30 in the morning. So 6:36 a.m. here in Chicago. It's already looking very busy. And again, we are at the Midway airport, not O'Hare. So we're sort of slap bang right in the middle, really, it is now. O'Hare's a little further off to the north. All right, so let's get our flight plan viewed then. Charts, back charts, and it's going to be this one. Midway to Nashville. I'm just going to scale this up a little bit for the purposes of the stream. So a few things to note then. We'll be cruising at 36,000 feet. It is 369 miles distance. That's reduced to 347 or by 22 miles thanks to a 23 knot tailwind overall. We're expected to fly just under an hour, 16.5 thousand pounds of fuel in that time. We will keep an eye on that, see how accurate that is. We'll be blocking off just over 40,000. So again, I like to round it off and then add one. We'll do the same. So we'll be departing with 40.3, at least from the blocks. We'll check that takeoff fuel is 38,650. We did that before with the CRJ, and if you remember, it was £1 under when we hit the toga switches. £1. So we'll see if we can make up for that today. We've got 3 alternates again due to the stormy weather conditions. So we'll see that. Yeah, so we're expecting to depart runway 13 center, and if we come over to page 3, 2 passengers, which isn't really, is it? It's the crew, it's the pilot and co-pilot. I don't know what is that, how it's listed as packs. I don't think it, anyway, whatever. I can only assume it's pilot and co-pilot. Cargo, 100 for everything is in pounds, by the way, Imperial. 155.6. Payload, therefore, is 156. And so the 2 passengers weigh 200 pounds each, it would seem. 0 fuel weight gives us 409.3. We need 40,000.2. We said we're going to round that off to 0.3. Gives us a takeoff weight approximately 448. Well within everything here as well, within the limits. Landing weight is expected to be 431.4. Again, well within the limits. So we're about £50,000 less. And so with that, the particulars, let's have a little look on the map itself, and then we'll crack on. And so this is the Great Lakes there, Chicago. It sort of goes that way at the top, you'll know it. Chicago is here on the sort of southwestern side of the lake. We'll come down here. I think there's a place called Champaign or something over there. We'll be scooting past that, and then as you can see here, final destination, and we've got 3 alternates that are very helpfully placed on 3 different corners. And yeah, expecting the storm to be as it is right now in real world, right around here, so we'll see. We may even be able to fly above it, I don't know. We'll have to see once we get there. And so with that, I think enough briefing out the way. I hope you're doing well. Let's get cracking with it. So first off, let's plan, let's get the cargo in. So fuel wise is 40.3, so let's come over to load manager. Block fuel, I think I can type it. Yes, I can be exact. We'll see how that works out. Taxi fuel is, that's what I was trying to do. Weird that it asks for some things and not others, but yeah, taxi fuel £1,500, and trip fuel is let's just call it 16.5, and so that's that. Payload wise, if we come back to page 3, remind ourselves briefly, it was 155.6. Totaling 156 with, again, I don't know if that is technically passengers, because of course we saw there are 2 seats back there. So in theory, for a shorter flight, you know, if you're not rotating the crew around, you could, I guess, carry 2 passengers. I'm not sure exactly the technicalities on that, but let's go with 156. So we see the CG is in there. We're just inside the box. I'm going to try and move it a little bit over. I don't want it bang in the middle, but something like... What about there? So if we run out of fuel, it's bang in the middle. For takeoff, it's slightly off to one side at 24.8. And so, yeah, so let's apply that load. You see that jolt? Never a fan on that instant reload. I prefer when there's a more graduated thing, so we can request the fuel and to load the aircraft. I just wish this genuinely did load it. And again, it doesn't need to be fancy. Just even over the space of 30 seconds. Or the Zebo does it in like 10 seconds, but it's at least into payload anyway. Fuel actually, Zebo takes real time. And so, yeah, we've got the cargo loading. It's unfortunately not really a cargo ramp, so yeah, that is a little unfortunate. The some of the animations they're working through the Xplane scenery, but you know, what's new, right? We see this all the time anyway. It is unfortunate because you do actually see the cargo loading into the aircraft. You see it there, look. If we ignore this bit. Reflections and shadows and all. It goes in and then it moves down, you know, on this weird surface. So there is that. There's a little door there. I'm not sure what that's for. That shuts in flight. I'm wanting to say APU, but we haven't got the APU on, so I don't really know. Could be anything. We've got this diddy little cargo space back here. If we take a look, it's very small indeed. Just like a few feet in the tail section. That would be an interesting place for a stowaway. We get a little chilly back there. If we come into this one here, I think we can come in just briefly. Have a little look around. This here at least looks like it's got some air vents in. So if you were, you know, moving any animals, this would probably be the spot to do it. And then, of course, you've got the forward hold over here. More stuff again. And we may as well just cheat through. Then we've got the main bulk of the aircraft here with these, you know, these motorized floors that you see. And I think the some of the scenery there going a bit funny because what we saw had disappeared. Let's see if we can see it now. What we saw disappeared. The cargo that we saw being loaded had disappeared. Let's have a look through. Yeah, it's gone and the door's shut. Let's just see, has the door really closed? It has. Okay, so they must have finished loading then. I didn't realize they automatically shut the door, but anyway. Let's crack on with it then. Some people saying, look, stop showing us around, just get on with it. Well, I like to do both. And now you can see that the cargo is sort of animated until it's finished and then it disappears. I guess kind of like the bus animations for the passengers when you got that thing going. All right. Let's make a start then with regards to the FMC or the McDo. I think it is called the McDo in the McDonnell Douglas. It certainly behaves a little more like the Airbus one. I'm just going to change this mode to plan. And that will do for right now. And we'll try and position it like this so I can see my tablet here, the plan there, and the McDo here. So let's clear that off. I guess it's also a good time. We should have really done this before, just so KMDW, just so we know which runway we're shooting off from. So let's get the airport information up on the screen. ATIS 132.75. We'll just do that and then we'll get right back on with this. 132, I guess that's 75. Let's have a listen. Turn it up. Yeah, this is where the extra point maybe causes me problems. I think there was an option here to have it truncated. Right, let's click this one. Save. There we go.
100, temperature 20.
Yeah, so that's a bit of a bug, isn't it? If you truncate the frequencies, you don't even get access to it. So why would you ever turn that off? As you see, we wouldn't have got the ATIS.
Runway 22 left, 22 right. Advise on initial contact. You have information. Go on.
So we got golf.
Midway information. Go on. 11.
Yeah, so volume works.
Wind 140 degrees at 6 knots. Visibility more than 10
So I put it on full
Rain.
volume.
Sky conditions. View at
Great.
11,500.
Let me listen.
Temperature 20. Dew point 13. Altimeter 2988. Arrive runway 13 center. 13 left. 13 right. Departing runways 22 left. 22 right. Advise on initial contact. You have information. Go on.
Interesting. So departing 22 left and right with golf, and I've already forgot the altimeters. So we'll listen back to that in a bit. But 22 left and right. So 13s. They're all the 13s for the arrivals. 22 left and right for departure. Let's see how that ties up with our plan. Page 2. Our plan was for 13 center, and so we're going to have to make our own modification there. We'll go with the ATC, and then it's direct to Charlie Mike Sky. Charlie Mike Sky. So let's have a look. Are there any departures for the airfield seen as... we've got the Cicero 2 and the Midway 6. That is all. There's Charlie Mike Sky. That's what we're interested in. And for 22 left, for no other reason than it's nearer to us. Climb 227 to distance 1.5. Then continue climb to 1300. Top out 3000. And let's just have a little look at the other one. Midway 6. All aircraft climb on assigned heading for radar vectors. Expect that. In other words, there is no like detailed departure. It's just whatever the ATC gives you. And I noticed this as well for the Chicago O'Hare. A lot of the SIDS and stars are, well, the departures, the SIDS. So let's go for it anyway. Let's go for it. So if ATC is going to tell us what to do, we're just freestyling it basically, aren't we? So let's go then. Let's assume that we are cleared for the Midway 6, which is this one, which basically means 3,000 feet, and ATC is going to tell you what to do. So as soon as we have no ATC, I'll let you figure out how that's going to work. Right, so Charlie Mike Sky is our first waypoint. So back over here, charts, put that down there. So in it from 2, so Kilo MDW 2 KBNA. Departure, well, pushback is in 10 minutes time. We'll see if we can do it. Alternates, we do have 3. So we'll just put in our first one if it lets us. I can't remember if it does or it doesn't on this module, which appears to be Atlanta, and that's accepted. Fine. Flight number is Lufthansa 3762 today. I'll turn that down a tad, and we'll be cruising at 360. At least initially. All right. Cost index for today is 20. Initialize the IRS. Pause ref. And we'll just check. 41470. 4147.2, so that's within a few yards. West 87 44.6, West 87 45.1. So again, within a, you know, we're within a few seconds there. So it's, you know, one side of the airport to the middle really. So we're here, and I suspect, yeah, it's on the western side that we're off the most, probably because, well, there you see it, the middle of the airport's marked there. That's where it's from. And so we are, if we take a look at these graduations here, 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, we're 5 or 6 off seconds to the further to the east, should I say, not further to the west, and that's, you know, that's the discrepancy. And so, yeah, you know, it all tallies up, right? It matches. And so for the init page, page 2, page 3, this is all to do with weights. Let's just have a quick glance with respect to what we've got here on the load manager. Trip 9.4. Interesting. Final time, extra time. Block 40.3. Yes. Zero fuel 409.3. We see that here, 409. Does that actually tally up with our plan? I can't remember if this was, I think I got a module that where the weights were exact. It's not always easy to do. 409.3 it is. It's one that matches up perfectly, which is exactly what you want, right? Takeoff weight, 4479. Here we've got 448.1, so we're talking 200 pounds discrepancy. That's going to be those, if you remember, we rounded it up and then added another 100. Well, there you go. That's where that's come from. Landing weight, according to this, 438.7, and we've got 431.4. So we'll see who's more accurate. In theory, you know, from this point, there should only be a couple of pounds, a couple of hundred off, like the takeoff weight. And so our sim brief profile reckons we're going to burn a lot more fuel than what the aircraft thinks by about 700 and some pounds. So we'll say, sorry, 7,000 and some pounds, which is not nothing, right? So we'll see, you know, if that's who holds up there. All right, flight plan then. Midway, I can't remember if you can load them in directly, but you know what? It's fun to just do them yourself once in a while, so let's have a look. So from Midway, Sid, interesting they don't have the Midway 6 departure in there. I'm sure it's a Midway 6. And it could be, I do keep my Navigraph stuff updated, and I'm just wondering, does the aircraft have its own, yeah, look, Midway 6. Does it have its own, anyway, whatever. Midway 5 is going to be close enough, and we already said, based on what ATC says, it's going to be 22 right. Let me just do a quick check that 22, sorry, 22 left, I do beg your pardon. 22 left, there we go. Midway 6, which is 3,000 feet and what ATC says. With 22 left, we see here 6,500 foot long. So we're going to need to give it some on takeoff. It's, you know, it's an MD-11. It's not a 7.3. It's a big aircraft. So we'll add that in. All right, this menu can disappear for now. I think we're done with that. And so, yeah, it's takeoff and then you see vectors. Yeah, we're waiting for ATC vectors. Our first waypoint then, let's come over to the charts, is CM Sky. So we'll just type that one in directly. CM Sky. That's been accepted. Then it's to, let's just call it Cayenne. And that's starting to build up nicely. Then it's Sybil. Then it's PXV, which will be a VOR beacon that I don't know who it is at this moment in time. Then it's Gummer. And then it's on the Ryman 2 into 20 left. So, Gummer, Star, This is where it's like Airbus, right? Ryman 2. Transition. Oh, go Matt. Into runway 20 left. Alright, all of that is in. Let's insert that and just check on here with the plan. We'll do away with that just a second. So there's that PXV, so not too long. There's Gummer, which is the start of our arrival. There's Ryman, Pecky, Jonal, Obate, Yawl, Colour. Then there's discontinuity as it rigs up then to Kramer, Yud, and there's the runway 2 left. So I'm thinking, I realize ATC would give us vectors, but I'm just thinking, you know what, from Colour, let's just go straight to Kramer. So I'm going to set Colour, and can we do it here, next waypoint, in the very traditional way of doing it, next waypoint. That's it, Kramer. Let's clear this bit out. There we go, that's what I was after. And so that'll work nicely. Alright, the flight plan is in and checked all the way. We've got the discontinuity here. We'll keep that because we'll just, again, simulate it that ATC is telling us what to do at this end. So flight plan. So that's the diff. The radios, we'll leave this on automatic. In it. Next page. Next page. That's all done. Performance then for the climb is pretty standard on this one, which is, it's pretty fast. So 317 knots until we get to Mach 82. Then we'll be cruising at Mach 82. And then we'll be descending Mach 82 at 341 knots. Apparently, that surely can't be... that must be what it wants to do as a maximum. It surely can't be planning to do itself 341 on a cost index of 20, but what do I know? Right, back to the flight plan. Takeoff, arrivals. Flex. Well, we're not really giving it much due to the runway length. Let's just go... packs off. I was wondering if that could toggle them. So it's going to be a packs off. We'll just give it full power. Flaps. I like the dialer flap thing. Let's go for 25 for no other reason than if it lets us, it should get us off the ground a little sooner. So yeah, there we go. Flaps 25. Right. There's no wind direction on this. You either put head or tailwind component. That's it. And so I'm going to have to listen to the ATC and then just do a bit of math. Slope is 0. So we'll start with 0. It's going to be headwind component, so HD. And I think just H actually works. Right, let's listen.
13 center, 13 left, 13 right. Departing runways 22 left, 22 right. Advise on initial contact you have. Information, hotel.
Right, hotel. I'm sure it was golf before.
Midway, information, hotel. 11:55 Zulu. Wind 150 degrees at 6 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles.
Right, 150 at 6 knots. We're on a 2-2. So it's like more of that wind than not is crosswind. So 6 knots. I'm going to give it 2 knots component headwind. It's certainly no more than that. It could be 1 knot, could be 2. Outside air temperature is 21 degrees, so we'll put that in there. And with that, we've got the following V-speeds. Decision at 35, rotating 47, and if we lose an engine, it's 154. So, check, check, check. Happy with all of that. If we lose climb thrust, acceleration, all of that stuff is here. Let's have a little look. Let's get our altimeters as well.
5 Zulu. Wind 150 degrees at 6 knots. Visibility more than 10 miles. Rain. Sky conditions. View at 11,000. Temperature 21. Dew point 14. Altimeter 2990. Arrive at runways 13 center. 13 left. 13 right. Departing runways 22 left. 22 right. Advise on initial contact.
All right, so 29.90. All of that is in. Yeah, so let's have a little look with regards to the airport page. Obviously, if it all goes wrong, we'll be back in. Approach. We do got an ILS, so a 3-1 center if it all goes wrong. With regards to the departure, airport elevation 620. And in the direction we're going is 2,800. So yeah, climb thrust. If we lose an engine, just because it is a city, let's get a bit higher than 1420. Let's go for 1900. We'll continue heading south, and everything else there is fine. All right, it's we're 3 minutes late for our push and start. We've got 15 minutes to taxi for a 15:15 takeoff. So let's close the windows. Let's get the APU booted up. We'll get the signs on. Smoking signs on, logo light on, and nav lights are already on by default, which is an interesting part of this aircraft. So yeah, I love the auto APU. So you can manually start and stop the APU up here, but you can also just request APU power using this one, and there you can see it starts flashing to basically say it's not ready, but you know we're cooking it up, and there you can see it starting. And if we come out back, that must be where it's breathing from. APU's starting. One way that you can easily check that the IRS systems are aligned is come over to ref, pause ref, and if you see this here filled in the IRS mix, then you know that they're good to go. You can also come to page 2 and see what they're all saying independently. So we've got the GLONASS system down here, which is basically GPS. The bottom 2, here we see the IRSs, and at this moment in time, everything is in complete agreement. We'll see, I assume because it's auto-correcting, that will continue to be the case during the flight. Right, so there we go. APU is up and ready. So we'll disconnect the ground in 3, 2, 1. Now, ground power is available, so we're powered electronically from the APU. Let's go ahead and get bleed systems on as well. And if we come over here, we hear the packs starting up there. And there you see it's trying to warm it up a bit. I think it's actually too warm by default, so we'll turn it down a tad. Go like there, there, and there. Coming back over here now, and you can see that actually adjusts the temperature that the packs are working at, and is going to shoot for that new temperature that we've just asked for. You see here the packs, the air vents, and then the temperature that we've requested, as well as the actual temperature at this moment in time. I think that's cool, is that you can see what's happening there, and it does it all in real time. All right, let's close all the compartments using this switch. So ground operations, close. Well, let's close the cargo first. It doesn't appear like it responds instantly. That's because you have to wait till the animation's complete. Then it will update, but it, trust me, is responding instantly. And you can see the cargo doors are now closed. I don't know if there's an animation for the cockpit door. We'll have to see. So let's view it from out here. Load managed. Hang on, ground operations. What am I talking about? Cockpit stairs disappear. Well, they're instantaneous. The cockpit door close. That is animated at least. Wheel chocks, they can stay there for now, but let's get rid of the ground power units. That just disappears. That's unfortunately seems pretty standard with modules. Seeing as we're operating off the APU. All right, so aside from chocks, we are good to go. We're operating off our own power, so let's switch to map mode here. Let's plan the push. As you can tell, sticking to my stickler of checklist procedures. 3-1 right. We're not on 3-1 right for that. This is actually one of the landing runways. I'm just thinking, would we push to there? You know what? We're well clear of the line. Let's go for it. Let's ask the tug to push us to there. I'm not sure if they really would, or if they'd push you down the alley. Perhaps somebody could let us know what the procedure for that would be. I doubt they'd have an MD-11 on stand there anyway, but regardless.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
We're ready.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
Okay. Squawk. It always defaults to 1776 on this. I'm not sure what that's about. It doesn't remember your squawks between flights. Is it to do with the American, all the rest of it? I don't know. Just seems an odd. Or is it perhaps somebody's birthday, the 17th or something? I don't know. No. What I do know is I like to squawk my own flight number, which in this case is 3762.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Okay, great. I'm going to set this from standby to transponder mode. Then we've got TA only and then TARA. So transponder just because we're starting up, right? Weather radar, we'll turn that on once we're on the runway. And we'll have to make sure that's on for the flight. I like my panel lighting, which I have neglected to do. So we've got that one there. We've got that one, and we've got that one. And let's turn the beacon on, seeing as we're about ready for push. Beacon light is now flashing. We've got the defog here. And if we take a look now, emergency lights, good call. Let's arm those.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Okay, we'll do. All of the cautions are off apart from this one, and this one just disappears once the parking brakes are off and the engines are up and running. That's the best I can tell. So, parking brakes are set. Let's disconnect the chocks. In fact, just before we do, let's cycle the parking brakes now that we've got our own power. So they're set. Get rid of the chocks. And now let's release. And over here, what have we got? Hydraulics. Good engine display then. Alright, let's release the brakes.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Fantastic. Here we go. Right, V speeds, we've got those in. And assuming that all goes well, we'll accelerate to 250. Got flaps clean speed here is 214. So I'll tell you what, let's go for 220 just so that we've got that, plus we are all good. And let's start with the engine. So we'll go systems B today because I did A yesterday. Packs shut off, which is great. And let's start with number 2. We're keeping an eye on things. I assume it's pretty standard. These engines in that you put fuel in somewhere between 24 and 25%. In any case, that's what I'm going to be doing. So we're starting this one here. There's 24 and fuel on. Looks like a good start on 2. She's stabilizing, and with that, let's start number 3.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Parking brake set.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Copy that. 14, 15, 16. Joe, I'm going to put the fuel in now just so we can get a view of it. Give the hand signals. Good start, and we'll go for engine number 1.
Tow is disconnected and bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time, and have a safe flight.
Thank you. See you again. %. 1, 3, 4, boom. She should be off our right. There she is. And she's gonna give us the all clear. I say she. It's one of those funny looking ones. Alright, with the nose gear pin, and it is dialer flat, we have set for 25. All the engines are up and running, stabilized. Flaps 1 and flaps set to dialer flat, which is 25. Let's get the RTO in there. Miscellaneous is the DFDR. That should disappear once we release parking brakes. So config check. Takeoff trim today is 7.2. So let's work on the stab trim. 4.5, 5, 6, 7, 2. Oh, there we go. 7.2. That's set. Flaps are set to 25. We confirm. We see there 25 on the dialer flap both sides. Port brake is RTO. APU air. We'll get rid of that. So APU disconnect. APU for the power disconnect, and this will then by itself shut off in its own time. You can see it's already armed, so it's just going to spool itself out. And so yeah, we're good for, oh no, just before we are for taxi, let's do a flight controls check. So all the way forwards, and I really like this. You get the green bar when the flight controls are fully deflected. All the way aft. So if I don't pull all the way, you can see it don't go green. And so this just confirms that the controls are working, and it really does, which I like. Left, neutral, rolling right, neutral. Let's put in left boot, neutral, right boot, neutral. Flight control checks are all good. I'm going to leave it on the status page for now. I've got rejected takeoff there. I'm going to arm the handle there. Release the parking brakes, and with that we've got a green bar and all the caution lights are out. And we're going to put nose light to taxi. We're going to put the turn off lights on, and with that we're good for go. Oh, that was some careful manoeuvring from the ground guy, wasn't it, underneath the aircraft? We'll have to write him up. Tower, give him a number to call. A bad guess, was it? Just using that camera to guess am I going straight or not? Yeah, so it's going to be airport page. Yeah, departure. Yeah, look at this. We are a little late. We were due to take off 2 or 3 minutes ago. Yeah, so it's a right turn here onto, I can only assume is Yankee. It's quite difficult with the tiller on this. It's certainly, you feel like it's a heavy. You can't just swing it over and it responds. Differential braking is your friend on this aircraft, that's for sure. No unrealistic racing around at 30 knots max takeoff and just slinging on the rudder or the tiller and expecting it to immediately respond. I do use the tiller, and it is modelled on this one, so there we go. You can wave hello. Alright, let's focus. Alright, fuel check then. Let's hope this time we're well within limits. Takeoff fuel is 38.6. And we have... Is there a way to see it without... Maybe I do need to go to the fuel page. Hang on. Fuel. Let's slow down here. It's 22 left. We've got 44.8. Oh no, that's gross weight. Fuel, there we go. 39.7. Mid takeoff is 38.6, so we've got more than enough. So back to the config then. Not the status, sorry. Where are we here? Where's the config? There we go. Right, let's get that tiller over. And high intensity lights, which is our strobes, we'll get those on. Landing lights on, nose light off, and transponder to Tara. We'll get the weather radar on as well now. Turn it on. Brighten it up. And let's go all the way over now with the tiller. That's max lock. Actually didn't need us that much, did I? I've just eased it off a little bit. Alright, she's getting ready. Alright, so runway heading, I should have really put this in, but I can't believe I was so used to the Airbus isms of it, I've gone and forgotten to put runway heading in. 227. Well, I love the way that these controls, if you increase the rate at your mouse wheel, it really does increase the rate. Right, there we go, it's all set. The departure, again, we'll get rid of that icon because it's cheating. Same with this, in case we have to come back. So let's make a roll. So takeoff, runway heading, and then whatever ATC says. All right, are you ready? Yes. Lufthansa MD-11, you are clear for takeoff. So with that nose lights on, let's wind the engine a bit. We'll start the clock. Auto flight it. And Toga. Takeoff 110. Bleeds are off. We've got 109. We're accelerating nicely. We're going. Rotate. Here. Trimming down a bit more. I will assume now we're cleared up to, let's just go up to 12. I'm maintaining a 15-degree climb. I'm not going crazy at 19 or 20 degrees. This is fine for me. Alright, let's go on to nav mode now and on to profile climb. Just turn the sound down a bit now. Autopilot will enable that. Getting a little close there to the minimum speed, but it's fine. So there's no restriction there, is there? No, it's just guesstimations. Flight plan. Come on, let's pick up the pace a little bit. Do you know what? To do this, I'm just going to manually take over on the VS. I'm just going to dunk it down to 1,000 feet. And there we go. We're starting to get a positive trend on that vector. Throttle going back. I don't want it to go back. What I am going to do is start reducing my flap using this dialer flap from 25 to 22.5. Come on. Well, I screwed something up there, didn't I? Because it's not going for the speed I'd requested of 220. But it is now. Correctly assumed it would go for that. I should know because I flew it yesterday. Right, flight plan. So here's the disconnect now. So direct to CM Sky direct. Yeah, look at this. We're accelerating nicely. So I'm just going to continue winding away the dialer flap. I think 12.5 is as least that I require. There's 220. Let's go for 240. Terrible way to climb this, isn't it? Back and forth. I will increase the rate of climb as well. Let's go for 250 standard now. We go FMS. There we go. We'll just leave it on FMS. Right, there's 240. Let's bring the flaps in. As we depart Chicago to the south and take a look here, we've got slats to go, and I wanted to show you that in 3, 2, 1. Now, the slats here are rated for up to 280 knots, which is particularly high. Lovely animation. I have to say, in terms of looks, this is one of the better Xplane 12 aircraft. In terms of just the way it works, it was always okay, but in the last update, certainly since I last flew it, this is now really good. Again, I'm not an expert in it. I like to feel my way around all the aircraft, but it does work very well. And let's clear ourselves up now to 36, and I'm just going to put this onto the profile. Standard climb. And so with that, let's get rid of auto brake. We'll get rid of the spoilers. We didn't need those. Come up here. Nose light can disappear. Turn off lights. Logo light can go. Smoking signs. There we are, passing through 10. So let's get rid of landing lights as well. Just going to turn that back. Some of the aircraft, the sound of the wind is really good, and it does get really loud in a cockpit at high speed with the wind. So most modules I find neglect to model that correct. They have a little bit of a wind sound, but they don't, like, it completely takes over all the other sounds when the plane's flying fast. So I'll turn it down a little bit more. I think that's okay. Yeah, so here we go for the very high speed climb. Looks like it's shooting for about 318. I'm just going to press auto flight again because I realized it seems to default to AP2 for whatever reason. So now it's on AP1. There is this very, very slight jitter I've noticed on the autopilot control column when it's flying. Not here, but here. I never noticed that before, but just seems to be one of the things these days. Thankfully, the jitter is not replicated on the flaps. We can, sorry, the elevator. What am I talking about? The ailerons are not jittering around. Although the spoilers are, which is a little unusual. Look at that. There's that little bit of flutter. I'm not sure if that's supposed to be. Wouldn't have thought so. I'm surprised these spoilers are not a little more flush. Let me check on the other side. Are they... Hang on. Well, it's not... we've not got the... It does seem to be protruding by about a centimetre or so, but it's not fluttering, although the inboard bit here is fluttering ever so slightly. And over here... Well, yeah, a little bit, but the spoiler with it. Okay, so it is translating. Regardless, let's push the range out then, and we'll take a look at some of the screenology, let's just call it like that. So there we go, top of climb, flight level 360. It reckons we're going to get there just before Sybil. We've got some weather on radar there, about 18 miles, and if we push it out, we can see it's it doesn't seem to extend. This here is just dust on the screen. And so the weather radar is, of course, as you'd expect, limited. It seems best on that sort of range, up to about 80 miles. Passing through the flight level sensor, we'll pull it standard 2992 for what it's worth. A couple of feet. Yeah, look at that. What a beautiful module. Really, really, I have to hand it to them. I mean, you know, I always thought it was a decent module. The reflections, the texturing. I mean, come on, let's face it. Whoever's in charge of texturing on this really knows what they're doing. The dirty, grimy control surfaces mixed with the reflections and, you know, shiny stuff in all the right places. We've got a bit of engine blur there as well. The heat blur from the three engines looking particularly nice. Now it's this little bit of crosswind. I have to say the clouds on Xplane, when you zoom in, I don't know what they've done, but they look a lot better than they used to do, this weird blurring. They used to have a really weird effect. I mean, there still is a little bit of a weird effect there at the middle zoom, but I guess it sort of comes and goes. I'm not entirely sure you'd get rid of that without just having massive textures that would, or whatever it is, that would just slow the computer down. Yeah, so let's have a look at the flight plan then. When did it think we were to meet? At Topper climb just before Sybil. Well, that's what we've got here. By how much? Well, very close. Look at this. Within £100 worth of fuel. Distance-wise, 1 nautical mile. So it reckons Topper climb, this is SimBrief, was about a, you know, again, 1 mile before Sybil. And at least at this moment in time, it looks like it's going to be very, very close. And so again, when a module is so close to what SimBrief says, and SimBrief's taken its numbers from real-world data, the module is obviously trying to imitate real-world data. It just shows that, at least in this instance, they're not far off. Bearing in mind, this takes into account the winds, which at this moment in time, the forecast was for roughly 286 at 45. We've got 292 at 47, so it's very close. Flyby. Gives you some idea on the sort of speeds that we're, you know, flying at when you get those, you know, without any zoom, just a natural flyby. Another way to appreciate the speed is to be in the cockpit and then for me to just freeze the camera and watch how quickly the plane sort of flies through where the camera is. Ready? 3, 2, 1. I mean, the entire length of the plane was in less than a second, right? Let's try it again. 3, 2, 1. And so, you know, we're shifting. Even though when you look out the window, you know, the ground, you know, it looks like it's so slow, right? By the way, one little top tip. If you ever look out the window and think, oh, it's going slow, imagine how big a field is. Line your view up to the edge of the engine like that and think, right, we've just covered a field now. There's a big long field and we've done it now. Got another field here, starting now, ending now. And so it's, once you realize you cover, you know how big a farmer's field is when you drive past them. Whereas in the US, we get these squares everywhere, you know, the United Squares of America. And this isn't a thing in the UK, but is in America. Do you know, I used to think this was just people being lazy on the textures, these squares, until I looked on Google Earth and realised, my goodness, America is covered in these squares. In, you know, a very large part, and everybody's done something with their, I guess, square. This cloud here is amazing. I like it. So there's nothing over there. There's less here, and there's this cloud. This here is the best cloud I've ever seen in Xplane. I'm not going on about it, but the way it's just there. Usually clouds was like, it was all or nothing. You didn't just get this big blob sort of by itself. And look at the shadow with it. I realise I'm getting excited here, but this is the first time. This is a Flight Sim 2020 thing. I've not seen this on Xplane before. Let's just check here. We're already up at cruise. We are 36,000 feet. That climbed awfully quick. Oh my goodness, look at this, guys. There's Sybil, and we've got up to cruise about 2 miles before. Simbrief said a mile. I mean, guys, that is so close. I don't know if that's just luck or what, but that blew my mind, as you can probably tell. And so it looks like the autopilot's trying to cruise at Mach 823, I guess we could say. Well, which works out, well, once it gets there, it's going to be about 277 knots, maybe. Auto throttle's a little slow, trying to guess where it is. And unlike the Airbus, this is more Boeing. The physical throttles move back and forth, which I prefer, frankly. I'm not sure if Airbus people prefer the throttles not moving. I like it because it's like it's not just a visual thing of what the engines are doing. I mean, you can hear what they're doing, but if you're flying, it's a very tactile thing, and you can see what the autopilot's trying to do before it does it. Because obviously, in Airbus, if the autopilot wants throttle, the first you know about it is once the engine starts spooling. On these, or the Boeing, you see it move the throttle, and then the spool comes. Now you may say, well, it's only half a second apart. Yeah, but in some circumstances, that half a second's notification's pretty crucial, especially if you're sort of letting the autopilot fly, but you've got your hand on, you know, just ready to take over at a moment's notice to know what the engine's doing, and you can override it as well without disconnecting. I saw this happen a lot. The pilot, they'd see the autopilot trying to move the throttles, and they would themselves then either push it or pull it a little bit, one way or the other. And, you know, often, like, it might be during a descent, the autopilot was trying to add power, they'd pull it back to full idle, that kind of thing. Especially when there's a little bit of turbulence, the autopilot don't quite know what to do, but they don't want to disconnect fully. Again, not possible in the Airbuses at all. You've got to either disconnect or not, that's it. Pushing out the range then, so there we go. Top of descent is just before Papa X-Ray Victor. We see the little arrow there. That's very much Airbus-like, those arrows. Boeing, of course, has the TOD, or T/D. I think it depends exactly what aircraft you're on. Either way, it's the top of descent. Yeah, so autopilot is struggling a little bit to find the speed, and you may say, well, it's because it's turbulent. I don't know, man, it's pretty static. 348 knots. An autopilot, so it's now overshot the speed. Is it going to undershoot again now? Yeah, look, it just brings them back. And so the speed vector is going to come down. So you already know it's going to then drop through Mach 823, and then it's going to start putting the power on again. I just wonder, we'll see. Will it sort itself out before top of descent? I mean, really, if this was happening in real life for any reason, you know, usually it's because of the winds. You disconnect the auto throttle, you do it yourself. Let's release the seat belts as well. We'll go automatic on that. Well, as we've not got too far to go, about 100 miles, let's start taking a look at our approach information. Get rid of all the Midway stuff. Whoa, do you know, every time the sound like glitches for a sec, well, it's like a split second, I always think it's crap. Because it used to be, when Xplane crashed, that's how it did it. You'd hear the sound would glitch out for like half a second or whatever it was. You'd get 3 or 4 more frames in the game, or I don't know, maybe another second, and then boom, you'd get that dreaded message, and that'd be the end of it. Thankfully, this day, it seems to be the sound conks, and that's about it. And so yeah, so far, no real sign of this storm. I gotta say, I'm a massive fan of these clouds. Xplane have done something with the clouds. These look brilliant. The way that they are in these sort of big clusters, do you know, this is absolutely incredible. Oh, it's raining down here, wherever the camera is. Why, man, that's a vapor trail and a half, isn't it? Holy moly, is that... That is such a... How long is that? Let's get a flyby. Well, there's your answer. It's quite long. Alright, let's focus. KBNA then. Arrivals. Did we have one? We did. And it was... I think it was a Ryman 2, was it? It was. And that rigs us up with runway 20. So let's get that tuned in as well. Approach ILS 20 left. Of course. Oh, there we go. We do have one for the ILS. All right. So we've got Rebat, Whalen, or Kramer. This is our disconnect. After Cooler, track 110, expect radar vectors. And so that's from the, you know, from obviously ATC. We've already connected ourselves up ahead of time. And so let's get this right. So, Cooler 4000 mandatory, that's in. Yawl is 4000 mandatory, that's in. Cooler 210, that's in. Yawl has no speed restriction. Working backwards a little bit. Obate 250 between 6 and 12. It's decided to go for 9,000. Yonil, we need to be 9 or above, that's in. Peaky 10 or above, that's in. We've got one at 15. Ryman itself is 19 to 11. And it's gone for 15. Let's just see, is the altitude... it's actually going for 15,000, which I find interesting, is not altitude at above below, because that is what's there. Well, let's update it. Let's try then. At or above 11. At or below 11. Don't say you can only have one or the other. You can only have one or the other. Okay, I understand now why it was shooting for the middle. Let's just go at or below flight level 190 then. And peak is at or above 10,000. So it should match up. I may just change this to at or above 11 is obviously at or above 10. And then that way there's no way it's going to bust through 11 at Ryman when the next waypoint's above it. We're coming through Gumma, this one here, which is at or below 23. That's not actually in, is it? At below, so let's put it in 23. So Gumma's in, Ryman's in, Peaky's in. Obey with the speed restrictions in all the way to Kular. And on the approach, what we got? Kramer. Where was we joining? Kular to Kramer. So we're skipping out Reba and Whalen. Kramer's 3,000. See, it's strange that some of these are in and some aren't. Judd at 2, and then that begins the final approach. Okay, that's great. Which is 10935 on 201 on the ILS. We're getting near top of descent. Takeoff approach. So we've got the options between flaps 35 and flaps 50. And speaking of KBNA, let's have a little look at the airport itself. Minimums 200 Radal, airport elevation is 599. 20 left, it's 8,000 foot. You know what, I'm going to go flaps 50. And we'll go auto brake minimum. Approach speed of 152, ref 147. Alright, all of that stuff works. Radal is already in there at 200, seeing as that's the default. I'm just going to push it and dial it up and down just to make sure it really is sort of active there. 200. ATIS is 135.1. Let's see if we can tune him up already. Not yet. Yeah, so much for the thunderstorm, right? Let's have a quick look actually. Where is it with regards to... See if it's still going. Yeah, it's in real worlds, we're supposedly sort of there, but I'm not really seeing it. Now, it could be that the weather radar, I don't know whether they've modeled the vertical aspect of it. Let's point it down. Neg 35. I mean, we may get ground clutter, we may not, I don't know. But I'm not seeing anything. And to look out the window, it certainly does not reflect what weather radar is showing in, you know, the real life app right now, which in this area looks absolutely horrific. I guess it looks a little worse, so I say a little worse, we've just got some clouds, but we'll find out. As we near our top of descent, so let's set that back there. I do like that you can dial ahead the altitude ahead of time and it'll follow it. So let's go for 230. And we'll see what happens at top of descent, which is about 5 miles away. Well, throttles are going back now. Hang on, why the throttles go back and the engine revs went up for a bit? Did you see that? If you didn't, just wind it back like 10 seconds. The throttle levers came back, but the engine revs temporarily went up and then came back. Anyway, we're on the descent profile now. Throttles are idle. I do like, by the way, in real life, if I physically move my lever, throttle lever, this is a real nice touch, this ghosting thing. So it lets you line up the throttle with what the autopilot's got, and then you can disconnect. I think that is a brilliant idea, and perhaps other modules want to come up with something similar. That's the best version I've seen. I also like the Zebo one, where you've got this made up sort of indicator where your physical throttle is, and then you can line it up that way as well. Both of those methods, very good. I like either one of them. So here we go, Papa X-Ray Victor. Let's have a fuel check at Papa X-Ray Victor, see how things are going. So according to this, where are we? Did I just go past it without realizing? There we go, Pocket City, what a name. Papa X-Ray Victor. We are to have at this moment 25.2, and we actually have show it on there. Alright, fuel. There's got to be a better way to check the fuel. We've got, 24.2. We should have had 25.2. Do you know what? That's very close. If you remember when we took off, we had about £1,000 spare. Well, there's the £1,000. Oh, no, it's not spare, though. We should have 25.2. We've actually got 24.2. So we've actually used a little bit more. So the fuel consumption is higher. ...30,000 feet, we're continuing to descend. Let's go ahead and put the turn-offs on and logo. Again, there's no crew, passengers. I don't know what the seatbelt sign and smoking sign thing's for. I guess if you've got flight crew that are just in back here for whatever reason, I get then what the signs are for. But if it's just you and the guy or gal sat next to you, if it's Lufthansa, it's the gals, isn't it? But I don't know then. I don't know. So here's Guma. I don't like this thing continuously not being on the right page. I have to keep pressing flight plan. 230 or below. You can see where it reckons we're going to get to 230, that little blue out. I'm going to set the autopilot all the way down to 2,000 feet, and we'll see if the thing can get us there. Again, all the restrictions are in. Heights, we've checked them all. Speeds. Let's see if it can drop us out in front of the runway without us having to do a thing. I have to say, performance of this aircraft is for a high... I'm wanting to say high definition, but I don't mean graphically, although it is pretty high definition graphic wise, but you know, for the complexity, the sounds, the graphics, the detail, just overall, it's above average. You know, those of you that fly the Throttles and the Z-boat, you know, you're used to decent performance, but if you fly like the Fearless 7.4, the CRJ 1000, you know, that performance begins to degrade for whatever reason. The SSG 747 is probably the worst I've seen in terms of system depth and performance. It's like you get the worst of everything on that particular module. Sorry, SSG, just saying it as I see it. Yeah, look at this. Autopilot's bringing us up into the barber pole a bit to try and hold us here. All right, well, let's put the boards out a little bit then. And so, yeah, I wouldn't expect the autopilot to put us into the red line. I'd expect it to already try and, you know, pitch up automatically at that point regardless. Right, we'll do away with the boards. So here we are at 23,000. There's Gumma. I don't know why it's descending. Oh yeah, okay, out of below 23. Forget what I said. I thought it was an out or above. Forget it. We are on the profile, aren't we? Whoa, FMS speed. Well, we'll see. You see that? It puts power on, brings them back, and then says add drag. Straight, you know, within moments. Alright, let's do what it says then. Whatever we were on before, I'm beginning to wonder if it was the same thing, because I didn't see this message before. I could have just not been looking. It still wants drag, so let's give it stage 2. That was the view I was trying to get. Oh, we're starting to get the ATC, so there's stage 1. I do like the very big boards, and we've got 1, 2, 3, and full.
Temperature 24, dew point 60, altimeter 3000.
3000, I just heard. Set. Bit quiet was that. Still wants drag.
International Information Hotel, 1255 Zulu. Wind light and variable. Visibility more than 10 miles. Sky conditions at 25,000. Temperature 24. Dew point 60. Altimeter 3000. Arriving runway 02 center. 02 right. 02 left. Departing runway 02 center. 02.
Alright, so it's 02 right, left, and center, but winds were light and variable. John, I'm going to see if we can contact the ATC and see if he can get us in. Let's have a little look here. So... Let's go for Memphis Center. Let's just for now click auto tune, auto read back. 18625 is therefore tuned. Let's see if we can.
Memphis Center 0000000. McDonald Douglas.
It sounds far too quiet, man.
Altitude 14,800.
That's terrible.
Request flight phone.
Good job it's repeated on here. Well, we're gonna have to play ball. 3201. Altimeter's 2994. Well, we'll go with the ATIS of where we're going. Right, request heading to Airport Nashville.
000. Request heading to.
And let's follow what the ATC says, just for fun.
Flight heading 1604. Nashville International 000.
160. Well, it's exactly what our rival's doing, so well, we best do it anyway. $10,240. We're doing our own thing, so we're no longer doing the arrival. We'll see what ATC gives us. I'll tell you what, I'll put it up there. I keep forgetting every time on this aircraft that you change the speed, you've then got to pull it out. So it's not just the one time like on Airbuses when you're sort of managed mode versus your own. You've got to keep pulling it every time you want a change. Alright, let's drop the range back. Actually, we'll go for 250. Autopilot's having to trim back. That's a bit of a wonky flyby shot, wasn't it? Yeah, so look at that, very high angle of attack for 250 knots. And again, I could put slats out because they are rated from 280. It says it's somewhere. Here we go. Flaps, slats 280, flaps 1 to 15, 255, 16 to 20, 240. So the dialer flap depends on are we above or below 15. So I guess flaps 15 to get the most out of it. Yeah, so let's see what difference then the slats make to the angle of attack this speed. So we're currently at 5 degrees pitch. Let's put the slats down. Go out pretty quick versus retract, right? It was a lot more gentle on the retract. Right, let's have a look. Did it nose us down a little bit? Well, not that I can tell. Still looks like we're at 5 degrees to me, so... Not the most effective slats in the world. Maybe we're 4.5 degrees, I don't know. Usually the slats, especially at 250 knots, would give you like day and night difference. But apparently not. Come on then, ATC. How far are we away? Well, we should be descending. We're about 30 miles away. Request ILS at airport Nashville.
000. Request instrument landing at Nashville International.
Don't forget, they were using the other runway, so there is that as well.
Turn right, heading 180. Runway 02 right, 000.
Right, 180 on the heading, and we are expecting 02 right. So, let's ignore all of this. Let's come to the airport now. And 20 left, we'll get rid of that. We'll get rid of the arrival. I'll also get rid of the runway page as well. Let's go for approach to right, and then we'll get the airport page again. Otherwise, the airport page is up front, and then it confuses me. I like it in order: arrival, approach, airport page. And because we don't have an arrival, we got this down to 6. We've got a very original call sign here, 000, which I'm not really keen on. Alright, 6,000 is in. I'm going to pull the plug, and I'm going to reduce speed to 240, and I'm going to pull that. So that there's your level change. We're now 20 miles from the field, and if we look, we may be able to make it out in that direction somewhere. Oh, there it is. That's got to be it. And with that, let's go ahead. Landing lights, we're below 10. Nose light remains off. All of that there is set. Seatbelt signs on. Smoking signs remain auto for now. So nose light and smoking signs to go. Let's get rid of that. We can hear when he says something. Right, let's update the system then. So flight plan. It. Uh, 02 right. 2 right. Direct to. I'm just going to put Univ in. We're heading 180, but I assume it's going to vaguely give us vectors to that point. Univ would be for our final approach fix, I'm guessing. It's the one point before the final, but Skags is the FAF. Univ and Skags is in there. So it's going to bring us somewhere in there, I assume. We'll see how it does it. At least we've got it on the screen. So here we are, 6,000 then at 240. I'm still blown away that the world is in the just like 80 gigs or so to this detail. Again, it's nothing compared to flights in 2020, but the entire world fits on your hard drive at 80 gig. See all the main roads, the main rivers, it's all there. The water parts, you know, of course the houses are generic. Well, they are generic in flight sim, let's be honest, but At least in Flight Sim, they're in the right place. Here, it's a housing area. There's a golf course. You know, the holes don't necessarily go in the right place. It's just there's a golf course. But all the motorways there.
Right at 190. Descend and maintain 4,000.
Right to 190. Down to 4.
Altimeter 2995. 000.
2995. Alright, well, best update then, haven't we? Regardless of what Nashville has got to say. 2995 is in and set. So we'll zoom in. So this is the minimum zoom now, or the maximum zoom, I guess, depending on which way you want to view it. So the runway is passing off to our left, about 8 or 9 miles. There we see it. Could glide that if I had to. This is going to go pretty quick now, so let's go ahead and put the smoking signs on.
Turn right heading 200.
200. It's probably just trying to give us a bit more room to swing around onto final, or just a bigger base leg.
Victor's ILS, runway 02 right. Descend and maintain 4,000. 000.
We are at 4,000.
Turn right heading 010. Victor's ILS, runway 02 right. Climb and maintain 4,000.
He never said that before. Turn right. Turn right. Okay. Turn right 010. ILS, climb and maintain 45. How bizarre. Okay. 010. There's 4.5. And there's 010.
Climb and maintain 4,500. 000.
I don't need to read back, do I? I'm going to reduce my speed a little bit. I don't know if that's got anything to do with this. Let's go for 220. And with it, I'm going to go for dial a flap 15. Very distinctive change in sound with it. Angle of attack looking much better now.
Turn left heading 200. Descend and maintain 4,000. 000.
Right, 200 down to 4. I reckon it was trying to get me to do something and I just missed it by whatever its artificial parameters were, and so it threw me off. These trees look amazing, man. Look at those trees in the water.
Turn left heading 1.
This area here looks incredible. They've really buffed up Xplane somehow in the last month or two. What did they just say? Descend 4,000, turn left 110. Zero is in, there's 4,000. keep the turn going. I've got to remember, every time you change something, you need to pull these knobs again. It's not just a one-time thing. Flapperons. What a brilliant invention. I still don't understand why Boeing don't make use of that. I guess they don't want to go all fly-by-wire or anywhere near it. And you can't have a physical cable connecting your ailerons if you want to have flapperons. I assume you can't. Maybe you can. I'm sure there's some fandangled way of doing it, but oh, we don't want to do it. Yeah, here we go. I see exactly what they're trying to do us now. So here we go. We're on a base leg. And this here on our left is final. There's Skags as we see it. So it's going to be direct Skags. And I'm going to press it once ATC clears us. Now we need to be 2,500 at Skags. We've got about 10, 11 miles to do it at this point. We've got 1,500. Here we go.
4000.
Right, let's do it. What did it say? Turn left heading 110, altimeter 2994. Oh, we are on 294.
Heading 050. Descend and maintain 3,800. 000.
What a strange height, 3,800.
Turn left heading 360. Victor's ILS runway 20 left. Climb and maintain 6,000.
No, no, no. I'm going straight in now. You're ballsing me around. Vectors for the ILS. Right, let's reduce speed to 200 knots. And I'm going to continue descending to 2.5. And I'm going to do it using the vertical speed, nice and gentle.
Climb and maintain 6,000. 000.
Do you know what? I'm going to cancel.
000. Request cancel approach clearance.
Altitude.
Approach clearance canceled. Resume on navigation 000.
Thanks. Right, we're coming straight in because these guys just not helpful. 190 direct.
25.
At least we know that side of things don't work. Direct Skags. Let's get the nav on. Localizers active.
Stabilizer motion.
Let's go auto brake minimum. I will assume we're cleared to land, seeing as ATC won't. There's 25. There's Skags.
Squawk 1,200. Contact Nashville International approach 118.4 000.
I'm going to get bollocked for landing on the runway without permission, but whatever. Let's get the approach armed. Localizers coming in. Glide slope is alive as well. Reducing the speed 170. Missed approach. 3,000 feet. Here comes the gear.
Stabilizer motion.
Next lot of flap. Surf. Sorry, takeoff approach is 152. Terrain, acknowledged. Spoilers arms, we've got a green bar for landing gear down and flaps. One to go, let's do it. Flaps full. Right, gonna match the throttles and disconnect my engines.
1,000.
Autopilot disconnected, she's mine. Here we go then, it all comes down to this. You can actually see when I'm trimming. See that bar above the artificial horizon? When I'm trimming, you can see it there. You can actually see the little trim button on my control column as well, but holy moly, does she just drop out the sky?
Light slope. 500. 400. Approaching minimum.
Not the best placed trees in the world.
100.
Sink rate. Sink rate.
20. 10.
That was a bit rough. I was pulling back all the way. She just bottomed out. She bottom fell out at the end. So there's like a huge loss in lift around that particular speed. So it's very, very dangerous on this aircraft to go all slow. I say all slow. I mean, it's dangerous in all aircraft, but I mean, I've never known the bottom, like, go from balloon to okay to dropping out all within like 10 knots or so. It's bizarre. Yeah, let's get a quick replay on that. All right, here we go. So replay, and yeah, flaps are full. And you can see, you know, from here, I'm pulling back quite a lot. And I start adding power here, I start realizing the descent rate. Look how far I'm pulling back all the way. Almost all the way there. And I'm adding power and pull back all the way. Look at it there, just collapse. Hang on, what's it doing? Oh, it's not recorded right, has it? That is unfortunate. Guys, I'm going to have to leave it there. What a terrible end to a video. It's somehow not recorded the last few moments. Apologies for that, but until next time, take care. Bye-bye. The MD-11, aside from the Xplane replay ability not working very well, this is a fantastic aircraft. I know it looks like we're going across grass, but again, just look at it. What a beautiful aircraft. I have to say, it just feels like there's a couple of little quirks with the way that the handling is at approach speed. But other than that, it's spot on. There we go. The terrain once again reloads. Yeah. Other than that, it's absolutely spot on. I hope you enjoyed it. Take care. Bye-bye.